Okay, and welcome back. Once more, we're streaming Grand Tactician, the Civil War, continuing our Union campaign from earlier. Because of how I'm going to record this is going to get recorded as one long batch, and I'm going to break out the campaign segments and the battle segments into 2 separate segments. We'll see how much we end up recording during this recording session, and maybe we might win the game. So, the primary objective of your campaigns when you're doing Grand Tacticians of War is to get the other side down below 25 morale before your side gets below 25 national morale. Right now, we're doing a pretty good job at maintaining our morale. We're up at 95. And the Confederates are down to 90, or down to 40. So we only need to get like 16% more off of them. Though, a lot of the strong ways to reduce Confederate morale, national morale, have already been completed. Republican majority is actually a morale buff to... Well, if we don't maintain the Republican majority, let me rephrase that. We'll start having a national morale debuff. Jefferson Forts is a Union morale buff, which we don't need right now. We're up at 95. Cutting the Confederacy in half again. Union national morale buff. Confederate naval battles. Union national morale buff. So that we've got really no way to lower Confederate morale other than defeating them in battle and taking their towns and cities. Now, in some cases, we do have troops in the process of remobilizing. This army here just needs to get their morale back up. We can send them out to do battle. This one, first of all, this one wasn't really even meant to be an army. It's just meant to be a construction unit I made. It has seen battle, and in fact has won a battle. It's currently building a fort there. We may end up mobilizing more troops into that one. We have the Department of the West taking down this fort, trying to deal with the fact that the Confederates are trying to take one of our forts. We'll see if we can solve that situation. Seeing that Nashville here is probably undefended. Over in the east, we have taken West Virginia completely. Because of the difficulty of actually getting the Confederates out of here, I've gone ahead and just fortified West Virginia, so the Confederates should not be taking West Virginia back. I brought down the construction army, this one, to build a fort down here, so we can probably move off the Department of the Ohio, either moving it north to help in the northeast here, or moving it south. I think we're going to move it north because it is reasonably combat ready already. We will probably move the Army of the Potomac here south to deal with the forts on the eastern coast because we built that up for fort duty. I think this army might actually be on the move. Yeah, crossing it over into Petersburg. We have two main combat armies, the two initial combat armies here that started in Maryland. You've got most of your morale back. You're at 70. You've got your morale, but you don't have your readiness. We may go on the attack here soon. Try to get both these units to attack at the same time to do something with the Confederates here. If maybe for no other reason than to bog the Confederate towns. They don't leave Northern Virginia. We did learn from me checking at the end of the last one that we are in fact outnumbered by the Confederates. The Confederates apparently outnumber us by about just under 20,000 men. So it would make sense to stand more men up to help with fighting the Confederates. And there's a couple different ways I can do that. For example, the units I made up as construction armies, I could technically expand those armies. Here's an example of one of them, where all it is like 2 infantry brigades. I could expand those to be proper armies, or I could just raise brand new armies. I'm a little bit tempted to do that to kind of do some stuff in Nashville, for example. Maybe, yeah, probably do that in Nashville, because I think the new armies are well, adding units to the armies is going to start them deorged. So I'm going to have to generate readiness, and that's hard to do on units in enemy territory. It's probably a good way to do it. And I think I probably want one more in Pennsylvania, Maryland area. So yeah, let's think about doing that. Stuff. One thing we're going to do is, if we go look at our rifled muskets, We have a decent number of Springfield. We have about 35,000 Springfields. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go and just order another 50,000 of these. Because we're going to stand up more forces. We're going to need more Springfields. To be fair, we really need more cavalry guns or cavalry muskets and artillery pieces. More than we need Springfields. So this is a siege stack. This got full-sized artillery brigades. Artillery division. Yeah, artillery brigades. Yeah. Could potentially... I'm a little bit tempted to stand up a little bit more artillery here. Oh! Hello, Twitch chat. Is the game worth it? I'm finding it interesting. It's based on the Civil War, right? So it's sort of like, the Total War series, but a little bit more simulation-y. So depending upon what you like about Total War, it'll either be a really good game for you or it'll be a really bad game. It's mostly line infantry fighting, like Napoleonic Total War. But because it's simulation-y, it's I don't know necessarily a good way to describe it, but the battles are a little bit less destructive. Right, units mostly survive the battle, even in the more extreme scenarios. I think the most we've seen a unit be shot up is about a quarter of the unit destroyed before they run away. Which you'd have pretty stable units in Total War with that. Project-wise, I think we're saving up for... Well, it's in military tech one. I think we're saving for the supply reform. Could do propaganda again. I don't think we really need to do propaganda. Probably actually want to do something more like suppress population. Yeah, probably suppress population. That's what they do there. And then we're waiting for improved credit rating, and then we're building buildings. So, not quite done with that farm yet. 4 days. And the ironworks is going to take quite a while. Well, you may literally win the war before the ironworks are done. So, getting into troops. Let's go ahead. I could probably do want to do some modification to this unit. These train here. This is my Barning one. Let's go ahead and set up a couple more artillery units. While this one's working up. So we probably want to take it off the East Coast. Maine's probably actually a good place. Let's grab some artillery units from Maine. It'll take a while to get down here, but that's fine. And we will just upgrade these apparently to ordnance rifles, which makes sense. Okay. And then I think we're having cavalry upgrades here. Oh, apparently we did for that cavalry unit. Okay. So, we're going to wait for those ones to arrive before we send this army out. Hopefully getting the artillery units won't organize. Reduce the readiness of this army too much. These will arrive in 35 days. In fact, we might actually set the army out before those arrive, given how long that is. And then I think we want to raise an army in Maryland. So let's come in here and make a new army. Create a new army in Maryland. This is going to be an army where we're going to have a couple divisions, artillery division, and a cavalry division. And again, we probably still want to pull these from the east Might do artillery from Delaware. Do 1 cav from Connecticut. Make Connecticut a little small in backup troops, but New Hampshire. And then we'll do the artillery. And we'll grab 2 units of artillery from Delaware. These guys might actually show up before the ones in the artillery one that we're actually planning on sending out. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then we're going to raise 3 brigades, probably mostly from New York, if I know where the large population states are in the east. Oh, we haven't actually pulled a bunch from Pennsylvania. Let's pull from Pennsylvania then. Pennsylvania. We'll grab a couple from some other places as well. Spare. Trying to decide where I'm going to grab these guys from. I could grab from Maine, but we'll be really low in Maine then. Maryland, Massachusetts. Grab from Massachusetts. And New Jersey. New York. And New York. And then we want to upgrade all these guys. Probably to have... Okay, some of them are upgrading to Mississippi rifles, which is fine. They're not quite as high rate of fire as Springfield's. Might actually manually go through and swap them over to Springfield's. Because we're thinking these guys are going to fight rather than want to be more violent in the fighting rather than necessarily just going for... raw range. I mean, that's most of the Springfields can be used up here in this army, but that works reasonably well. And then this will take a little bit of time to stand up, take about a month, and then probably take 2 months really to get going. And then I think I probably want one in Kansas and probably another one in, say, St. Louis. The Kansas and St. Louis armies can probably be smaller. New army. I think this is Kansas. Or I put one in the really wrong. Kentucky. That's Kansas. I, as your average coastal American, do not know the interior states super well. We know of them, not where they are necessarily. Kentucky. So I'm going to do 2 infantry brigades in Kentucky, 1 cav, and 1 artillery. Or no, yeah, two infantry divisions, 1 artillery division, and 1 cav division. Okay, so we're in Kentucky, so it probably makes sense to grab some Kentuckian infantry. So the division made up of Kentucky. And we'll grab from Ohio as well, because they're pretty close by. Have a pretty good reserve. We'll go up to Wisconsin for the cav. Only do one cav for the moment. We'll do 2 artillery units. Can we get artillery units from like West Virginia? Yeah. Virginia's pretty close. And I'm just gonna hit the upgrade here. This means we're gonna do mostly the longer range rifles, which is fine. I'm not sure if these guys are actually gonna see combat per se, so they can have the lower fire weapons. Do we have any? We have a little bit of cavalry stuff. Cool. Actually, before I go ahead and give these guys the cav, let's go around. I'll put these back in the mix for the moment. Go around the entire army and make sure all our existing, more important cav guys have got proper rifle or proper cav carbines. Because these guys aren't going to be mobilized properly for like 2 months. So the Department of Pennsylvania may actually see combat in the next 2 months. So yeah, let's give you some, real carbines. Northeastern Virginia. Once we can. Okay, so this is what's happening. Is we are basically out of carbines. Is what that's saying. Don't quite have enough musketoons for you. Okay. Yeah. So I can get more rifles. We don't really need more rifles. But we'll get more artillery. We'll get like 32 more pieces of the rifled artillery. We'll hold off on the howitzers, just the rifled ones. Okay. Potomac is where we're sending up more of that. This one's, again, another one we probably see combat. We're northern garrison. You're on Springfield, so that's fine. You're on Springfield, so that's fine. You're on musketoons. This is the new army we're standing up, which is what I was... Oh, yeah. Okay. And then you. And again, we don't have enough carbines. Okay, so that's going to be our weakness, is our cav is going to be pretty weak until we get some proper carbines for them. Yeah, that's going to be the Army of Kentucky. And then I'm going to get one in Missouri. I'm not going to raise an army in Missouri? I might not be able to raise an army in Missouri for whatever reason. Yeah, it's not letting me raise one. We'll do one in Illinois then. That'll be the next closest spot to where I want it. And it is definitely going to let me do it in Illinois. I've raised units in Illinois before. There we go. Again, 4 divisions, 2 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 cannon. It's going to be the plan. Okay, we are able to get one thing of infantry from Missouri. Might actually keep the Missouri one for cav. Michigan? We're reasonably close to Michigan here. Could grab one from Wisconsin. Tennessee. Any other western-ish states we can grab from the gun high quantities that we haven't used? Iowa. And then Missouri, we're going to do the cav, so we'll grab cav from Missouri. And then we can do something like... We'll get artillery from Kansas. and then we'll hit upgrades on these. At this point, it should be all either... Actually, Lorenz, yeah, okay. So we're going to use the slightly more expensive Lorenz here, which is fine. As we get more rifled muskets in, we can swap over to that. Again, you can upgrade those. Do have rifled cannon. Okay. That's the army modifications I'm planning on doing. So yeah, some military changes. Budget-wise, surpluses are negative and getting worse, and we just did a thing that's going to make them much worse. Policies, we are working on which policy? We're working on military 2. I might not do any of the stuff behind military 2, but this is mainly to get military stuff faster. I might do just some diplomacy afterwards. We'll see. It's going to be toss-up between diplomacy and industry next. Okay, now let's go ahead and get time moving. We'll see how the situation evolves. We want to push... Yeah, well, let's go ahead and push the Army of the Ohio up the Shenandoah Valley into Winchester. Oops. The wrong army. Nope. Department of the Ohio, not the Department. Yep. There we go. Tucker's flying column. We'll come back to this. Victory at Fort Gavin. Cool. So we've retaken that fort. Let's push the Department of the West into Memphis. Then we can get back to what we were doing. Fort Milligan was complete, except Fort Milligan probably wasn't complete because we got it under siege, yeah. Perk here. Oh, we don't have ambulance score? Grab ambulance score. I think it's like 18% per day, so we got like 2 days of work and start moving out. Confederate Army spotted. The floor is Sagard. Army of the Potomac is probably strong enough that they could fight them off if they come to attack them. That's what it looks like they're doing. Okay. So it looks like we're about to have a battle here. So if you're watching on YouTube, this is where I'm going to go ahead and put a part break in. Well, I'm going to put a jump cut in. So we'll pick up with you post jump cut. If you're watching on Twitch, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the video here. Because if I'm doing the editing, I'm gonna actually edit the video afterwards to cut it up into the various bits. So I'm gonna put a short mic break in here, just so I've got a good place to edit it. So I'll be right back after the mic break. Okay, and welcome back after the jump cut. We, of course, won the battle, bringing glorious victory in Norfolk. His Excellency, the President of the Battle of Norfolk, has ended with the Florida State Militia retreating in panic. My command has earned us a total victory, with the enemy army running for their lives. The enemy has reportedly suffered total casualties of 7,370 men. Thereof, 649 killed, so less than a tenth of them were actually killed. 1,991 captured. Their morale is believed unstable. Our casualties total 968 men, with only 118 killed. 232 are missing, and the rest are wounded. Morale is determined with the supply situation good. We have captured 4,487 rifles and 19 guns from the battlefield. 1,831 enemy soldiers have been captured and taken to our POW camps, so there's a little bit of discrepancy between the captured and the guys going to the POW camps. Maybe we captured some people who are also wounded and thus are not viable prisoners. Or maybe they're wounded and they're not viable prisoners because they're basically like disabled or something. So, give it a little bit of time. The Florida State Militia here is going to withdraw. This battle did start early in the morning at 7 a.m., and it was a 2-day battle. So it will take over 24 hours for them to run away. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Need to keep track of how long the part is so I can do an appropriate break. That should have lowered the morale down 39%. Project-wise, I don't think it's been long enough to do any real projects that we're looking for. Supply reform. We're only 100,000 off from that. Okay, so it's not gonna be long. Confident, almost there on being able to go on the offensive. We're getting a lot of constructions apparently finishing. Milligan isn't going to finish until a land battle happens, I think. Yeah, our land force doesn't arrive there. Fort Gavin. Okay, so we were, prior to the battle, upgrading Fort Gavin. Fort Gavin has completed and is upgraded. The western approach to Memphis here is extra defended. Glorious victory at Fort Milligan. Send the Western Army retreating in panic. My command has earned us a total victory. Enemies reportedly suffered total casualties of 236 men, thereof 18 killed, 0 captured. The morale is believed unstable. Our casualties total 7 men, 2 killed, 2 missing, the rest wounded. Morale is nervous, and our supply situation is outstanding. So, I think the enemy just withdrew in the face of our troops here. I think that's here. Yeah. So to be fair, the fort here should actually soon be upgraded. In fact, it is upgraded, so it's now effectively a level 2 fort. It does need repairs before it's truly operational, but it is in theory what it's doing. Army of the Mississippi. I thought I stood up a new... Oh, there it is. You don't have any men, so you're probably not ready for moving. Construction of Frederick Farms is complete in the state of Maryland. This is to improve, in theory, the food state in Maryland, where all our troops are. That's more wood, or more wool, forage, livestock, and horses. Interesting. I was expecting it to make food. What does it cost to make a mill? Probably the mill's the next thing I should make. Makes sense, right up the list. We've got 600 invested, another 1 million to go. Okay. Probably the mill next. So I suppose the farm goes off of what's the most profitable to build, make. So we might just be making food at the farms because the farms don't need to make food. The livestock. Might be that livestock gets turned into something else that is food related. Flour. Yeah, something gets turned into flour and the flour gets turned into food. Okay. Maybe it's forage? Don't know if we got a mill in the area. We do have a mill in the area. Crops in, flour out. And the farm's not making any crops here for whatever reason. Presumably because there's enough crops. It's hard to tell. Apparently this plantation is making nothing. Okay. Not sure why, but it does what it does. Okay. Where are you going, Florida State Militia? Over there. So your morale is determined because you're just below 90, you got reasonable readiness. Waiting mainly on your readiness to come up. So once you're green, we're going to go on the offensive, I think, with those two guys. Or at least seek battle. Five days for that fort. Oop. Army of Indiana is being engaged again. This time by the Army of the Tennessee. We are outnumbered 2-1. You know what? I'll go ahead and take this fight. So if you're watching on YouTube, this will probably be a little bit of a short campaign episode because it'll be just over 30 minutes. But I think this is where we're going to actually end the campaign episode. We'll probably record at least one more tonight, so you can probably expect there to be another campaign episode up tomorrow. But we're going to go into another battle. This probably is not going to be a battle that we win. We are outnumbered 2-1. We've won that sort of engagement before, but we don't reliably win those sort of engagements. So the Army of the Indiana here will be facing the Army of the Tennessee. The Army of the Tennessee does outnumber us and has cannon, where this is just our construction army. Worst case scenario, the construction army gets driven off, and we'll have to go retake the fort with one of the proper armies. So if you're watching on YouTube, likely to be more parts up in either, well, this point, this one... Actually, this will probably be, this battle will probably be up tomorrow. But there will be another battle up today because we had a previous battle in this campaign portion. So if you're watching this campaign portion, the next battle should be up today. There'll be one tomorrow because we're about to record one for tomorrow. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. I'm going to mute the mic, and then we're going to get into it. Right, so I have a good place to put a part break in. So until the next part, wish you all the best of luck, a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.